On this show of the ZTV Sports Report, we're going to have an exclusive interview recapping the end of the women's soccer season, along with highlights from the beginning of the men's and women's basketball season.
We will also have highlights from the first round of the MAC tournament for the men's soccer team and all the latest football news.
So make sure to stay tuned because the ZTV Sports Report starts now.
Welcome back to the ZTV Sports Report, your home for everything Akron Zips athletics. I'm John Alfieri.
And I'm Tyler Gunter. The women's soccer season has come to an end, with the team losing in the first round of the MAC tournament to Western Michigan.
Reporter Rob Jaginer had the opportunity to hear what head coach Noreen Harley had to say about the end of the season.
Hey Zips fans, I'm Rob Jaginer, and today I'm here with head coach of the women's soccer team, Norleen Herlihy. Noreen, how are you?
Very well, thanks a lot.
Awesome. So the first question I have is, in the 2017 season, the team went 2-13-4. This past season, you guys went 8-10-4. That is a huge turnaround from last season. Tell me, what are your thoughts? How do you feel about that record difference?
Well, I think, there's always been a plan in place since we got here to keep moving the program in the right direction, and we just kind of stuck to the task and kept doing little bit by little bit. And so, yeah, it was a massive improvement. We're happy for everybody, and especially for the players, for that they could accomplish such great things this year. 14
of the 20 regular season games that you had this year were decided by a difference of 1 goal. And it also was the MAC tournament game against Western Michigan. The game was decided by a score of 1-0. Tell me, what does that say about your team as a whole?
Well, we were pretty resilient this year. We're always looking to go forward and look to win games. And I think that's the thing we're trying to instill here in the program, is that we're not going to go out and sit in and defend just because we were bottom of the league last year and hanging for our lives kind of thing. We wanted to be brave, be fearless, get forward and look to win games. And we did that. And we created a lot more chances than we did last year. And, there were, even those overtime losses, we had 5 losses in the conference and 4 of those were in overtime. But it shows that, like in any given day, anybody can knock anybody else off. And so credit to the players, they kept pushing, and they were always close games. But at least now we know we can compete with the best teams in the MAC, but we still are far from the finished product. We still have a lot of work to do. We need to keep moving this program forward, and so we're looking forward to doing that.
In the last 4 games of the season, you won those. It was a 4-game win streak. 2 of those games that you won were against teams that went to the MAC tournament, and one of them against was Bowling Green, who at that point in the season hadn't lost a game in the MAC yet. Tell me, how does that feel going into the MAC tournament like that?
Well, it gives you a lot of confidence. We knew the performances were there, and that was very important, even though we weren't getting the results. And we had some heartbreaking losses on the road to like Ball State and in overtime and stuff like that. At home to Kent State was a bit of a heartbreaker here. But we knew the performances were there, and we always knew and believed if the performances are there, then hopefully the results would come. So we stuck to the task. Players kept believing. We kept, pushing them, and they wanted to succeed. And so it was a great run down the stretch. And beating them that weekend at home was key. Beating, the undefeated number 1 team at the time, Bowling Green, who are now won the whole thing, to give them their only loss in the whole MAC season. Something the kids can hang their hat on. We, no disrespect to Bowling Green, but we gave them, we didn't want them to have a perfect season, put it that way, right? That's a bit of pride we had in the Zips here. But to be fair to them, they were the best team all year, and they were deserved winners overall.
That win streak, the 4-win win streak, was also the longest streak that you've had since 2010. Can you just tell me, how does that feel for you to know that you have the longest streak since 2010?
I had no idea till you just told me that. We're types of coaches that we kind of live in the moment. We take each year. Not interested in records, so to speak. For us, it's the process, the performances, what we're looking to do on the field. But having said that, that's pretty nice to have. I guess kudos to the kids. They can have that as part of their memoirs, especially for the seniors as they move on from this program.
And speaking of seniors, I know that you have a few of them who are leaving this season. Can you just tell me, what is the challenges that you're going to be facing filling the holes that they're going to be leaving this postseason?
Well, it's always sad to see your seniors go. We're delighted that they got the chance. We talked all year about having bookends. When we got here our first year, we made the conference tournament. They were freshmen, and then to make it their senior year was always a positive. That was something we kind of wanted. We talked about, behind kind of closed doors with some of the upper, the seniors, about it would be nice for them to finish with the bookends, as we said, freshman, senior year. So, there's always big shoes to fill, just the leadership and stuff like that. And but they've led by example, and the young players hopefully will know what it takes. And and can move forward now with those kind of ideas and knowing what it takes to be successful in this program and also in the conference.
Great. Last question, Coach. Can you kind of go into detail about some of the things that you want to be focusing on for next season, some of the things that you're going to be preparing on in this off season?
Well, we've kind of, the players are off for 2 weeks now. We'll regroup kind of next week and go over things. We're looking to put things in place, but obviously the off-season is vital for the development of players. When you come in the pre-season, you kind of get 2 weeks to put this team together, and it's a lot to ask because we don't come in over the summer. So they just come in for the 2 weeks, maybe 2.5 weeks. So it's a lot to put into place. And a lot of the young players that we had last year and this season are kind of still learning on the job mid-season, so it's kind of a lot to ask. So the off-season is very important for us to put things in place to set the standards, and so these young kids now got a taste. We're primarily freshman, sophomore based. We will have one senior next year in Ashley Amato. So these young players now will know what it takes to be, what it takes, and it's a big commitment. It just can't be an interest. We love the game, but it's a big commitment, and they have to show that in the off season, and hopefully they will, and we can move and see if we can take another step next season with this program.
Coach, thank you so much for taking time out of your day for this interview.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Cheers.
I'm Robert Zaginer with the ZTV Sports Report.
The soccer team had a great turnaround from last season. Hopefully they can keep this momentum up. The team is full of young players as they'll only be losing 3 seniors this year. That means that the core part of the team should all be returning, and Akron women's soccer is going to be promising for the next few seasons.
The men's soccer team made it into the MAC tournament play and opened their first game on Tuesday, November 6th at home. Here are the game highlights is Ian Runninger.
The University of Akron hosted SIU Edwardsville on November 6th at Cub Cadet Field in the MAC tournament quarterfinals. The Zips huddle up to prepare for this very important game that determines when their season will end. The Zips started the first half strong by keeping possession of the ball and pushing it towards SIU's goal. Number 11 passes to number 12 for a shot on goal, but shot just to the left of the net. Akron takes a corner kick in the first half, but shot goes over everyone's head and results in no outcome from the play. The Zips push the ball upfield, and Kaze takes a shot on goal, only to be deflected for Hackworth to make the shot and score Akron's first goal. SIU answers back 10 minutes later, with Greg Solawad taking a shot on goal and having it curve right into the bottom left corner of the net to tie the game 1-1. Akron, 15 minutes later, take their second shot after a miscommunication on defense, where the Akron front is able to get the ball into the top right corner of the net to take the lead 2-1. The team celebrates the goal before getting back to action. Number 8 of SIU is given a yellow card after sliding into the feet of Akron number 11 in the 23rd minute of the game. Number 11 of the away team went down with a brief injury near the end of the first half. Akron kept a 5-3 advantage in first half shots, where 2 of those were on goal. 4 fouls were given to SIU and 3 to Akron in the first half. Edwardsville pushed the ball nearing the end of the first half, and the Zips defender knocked the ball to the keeper to maintain and run the clock out of the first half. The Zips were up 2-1 by the end of the first half. The Zips started the second half strong yet again, keeping the pressure on SIU. SIU sends a goal kick away from the net, and Akron gains possession and pushes to the net. The Akron offensive player was tripped up and the defender was fouled. Akron played the corner with a short pass and then a pass back to try and set up a shot, but the ball gets knocked away for no outcome. Number 11 of SIU throws the ball in from the sideline, only for Akron to take the ball right back. Number 7, Izana Kaze, pushes the ball, but possession has changed a couple of times throughout the play. Akron pushes the ball 1-on-2, and an SIU defender knocks the ball to the keeper. After some miscommunication, the Akron offensive player attempts to steal the ball from the keeper. Akron was given 17 corner kicks throughout the game, and during a corner in the second half, they almost had a shot go in, but was deflected away from the net. An Akron player falls down, but gets back up, keeping possession of the ball and pushes upfield. The player gets tripped and a foul is given. The Zips fix their socks and pass the ball to run out the clock and win the game 2-1. They move on to the semifinals to face West Virginia and then face Western Michigan to win the MAC championship.
It's time for our first break, but when we return, we'll have updates from the Zips football team.
Welcome back. The Zips football team traveled to Eastern Michigan to take on the Eagles and were defeated before returning home on Saturday, November 17th, to face Bowling Green. Here with the game highlights is Colin Brennan.
It was senior night at the University of Akron as the winningest senior class in program history take the field at InfoCision Stadium for the last time against the visiting 2-8 Bowling Green Falcons. And it was senior Van Edwards starting things off with a handoff and spinning out of a tackle and cutting back inside before being tackled at the 35-yard line. Off the play action, Cato darts a pass to Jonah Morse, who lays out for the catch. However, on the delayed handoff, the Falcons stuff Edwards before he can gain any yards. With the ball, the Falcons do their own delayed handoff with much more success, as running back Andre Claire bounces off a couple of tacklers before finally being brought down. Quarterback Jared Dagey looks to air it out to Justin Sawmiller before the pass is broken up by defensive star Alvin Davis. With the ball back, Cato Nelson takes his own shot down the field and finds Michael Traylor Bennett, who catches the ball with a defender draped all over him, and he is hyped. Cato looks to find Edwards in space before the ball is batted to the turf and the Zips would settle for a field goal. The Falcons look to continue their running attack, and Claire stutter steps before finding the gap and outruns defenders before he's pushed out near the 40-yard line. The Falcons run the ball again, but after a few yards, the Zips get the stop. After another lackluster offensive trip, the Zips barely get the punt away, setting up the Falcons with good field position just past midfield. The Zips front seven stays sharp as they once again bottle up the openings and get the stop, setting up the next play where there is an absolute collision over the middle that will make your back ache. However, staying persistent, Claire once again finds open grass, rushing past midfield to add to his total for the night. Showing he can run as well, quarterback Grant Lloyd takes the snap and puts his shoulder down, getting to the Zips' 30-yard line. The Falcons should have stuck to running the ball though, as a deep pass is intercepted by senior Jordan George and he has space to run, cutting back inside behind blockers before cutting back to the sideline. He seems to have the space to score, but is eventually brought down past midfield. Riding the momentum, Cato looks to have a man deep, and he does as Jonah Morris has a step on his defender, but it goes through his hands and is incomplete. The Zips drive would not recover on the miss though, and Van Edwards tries to make something out of nothing, but is unsuccessful, and on the very next play, Cato is forced out of the pocket but has to throw it away. After a fake punt though, the Zips are within striking distance, but the run game is still not working, and the Zips settle for another field goal. With a 6-0 lead, the Zips look to be separating themselves, and it continues as Lloyd scrambles and is hit hard by George, forcing the fumble that is recovered by Alvin Davis. This marks his second fumble recovery of the season. The Zips couldn't capitalize though, and the Falcons carve up the Zips to end the half to get within the 10-yard line before ultimately finding the end zone to take a 7-6 lead into halftime. And their momentum would carry into the second half as Daggy finds Scott Miller in one-on-one coverage. It seemed inevitable, and the Falcons once again scored, this time on the legs of running back Rico Fry. And the lead would continue to build as the Zips give up a pass interference call in the end zone, leading to another touchdown by the Falcons. On 4th and forever, Cato tries to find Deltron Sands in the flats, but the pass is incomplete, as the seniors lead their last home game with a loss. The Zips will look to walk it off into Athens next week against the Bobcats.
The women's basketball team opened up their season with an exhibition match on Thursday, November 8th at the Jar.
With the game highlights, here's Tyler Gunter.
Women's basketball is officially back on Thursday nights at the James A. Rhodes Arena in Akron, Ohio. On Thursday, November 8th, Rochester College, the Warriors came into the University of Akron to face the Zips. This was the only preseason game that the women's basketball team would have before the start of the regular season. Rochester won the opening tip-off but ended up losing the ball on what looked like a nasty trip-up between players. Zips junior guard Shanae Edmonds got the ball down the court and pulled up from the free throw line for the quick score, putting Akron on top to start the game. The Warriors did not start this game off how they would have liked, as they turned over the ball on each of their first 3 possessions, which the Zips were able to turn into 4 easy points. The Warriors would eventually start putting some points on the board, but the Zips kept firing on all cylinders. especially the 6'2" junior number 5 Haley Raynal, as she made this easy jumper, showing that yes indeed, the bank is open late on Thursday nights in Akron. The Zips were able to come away with a 3-point attempt after Haley got a blocked shot on the other end of the court. Number 11 Megan Sefcik hit on another 3-point basket, which really excited this man right here. Anyways, back to the action. The Warriors continued to commit turnover after turnover, including this one that came right after getting the defensive rebound. They attempted to pass it down the court, but it looks like their players just gave up on trying and allowed the Zips to get this easy layup. The Zips women's basketball team looked pretty good in this exhibition match, communicating well. Let's look at this play right here. It starts with a pick set by number 24 Caitlin Vari. Sefcik takes off towards the hoop, and when she does this, stop the film. You'll see all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of their defenders forgetting their assignments, coming inside towards the hoop, leaving 3 wide open Zips along the arc. They each pass it around the arc until Shawnee Edmonds decides not to take the 3-point attempt and tries for a layup, which does get in, gives the Zips another 2 points. Rochester seriously throughout the whole game could not stop giving the ball over to the Zips, having more turnovers in the first half than at an all-you-can-eat buffet. The Zips led the game at halftime 45-22, and Rochester would not be able to surmount a comeback in the second half. The Zips looked great, playing well on both sides of the ball. Rochester simply couldn't hang, and your University of Akron Zips won by a final of 86-45. 4 Zips players had double-digit points, and that was junior Shawnee Edmonds, Alyssa Clay, Caitlin Vari, and redshirt senior Megan Sefcik. The Zips women's basketball team will look to continue playing like this as they start their regular season. Basketball season is officially back, and Akron men's basketball team has had many changes in the offseason. Some new faces will be starting for the Zips, such as guards Lauren Christian Jackson and Tyler Cheese.
One player that will be exciting to watch is 6'10" center Dang Riak from Australia. The Zips opened up their season at home on Tuesday, November 6th, and here are the game highlights.
The Akron Zips men's basketball team started their 2019 campaign on Tuesday, November 6th with a game against Cedarville University at the James A. Rhodes Arena. Akron had a lot of new faces in the starting lineup, including guard Lauren Christian Jackson, who made his presence known with the early 3. Dang Riak, the 6'10" center from Melbourne, Australia, joins the Zips starting lineup and slams it home for the bucket. Guard Channel Banks, another newcomer, drives in the lane and draws the foul. Akron got off to a hot start, but would end up going cold from beyond the arc, making enough bricks to build a house. The shooting struggles allowed Cedarville to make the game close. The score at half would be Akron 31, Cedarville 29. The shooting woes would continue in the second half as Daniel Utomi struggled through much of the game from beyond the arc. Channel Banks rallied the team with a corner 3 that just went in. But Cedarville would not go away as Brandon Mahler and Colin Van Horn would keep the Hornets in the game. But Akron displayed their dominance midway through the second half as Lauren Christian Jackson drives in for the bucket. Daniel Utomi finally got things going with a 3 that he got fouled on, creating a chance for a 4-point play. Sadly, he would miss the free throw. Tyler Cheese, the best name on the team by far, got into the action with a drive into the lane that he turned into an and-one opportunity. He would sink the free throw. Akron's defense picked up heavily in the second half, and their intensity and fight for the ball was what made the difference. It seemed like they just needed a spark to get things going. A string of 3s by the Zips would put the game away as Akron would go on to win 70-50. Coach Gross had this to say after the game.
I thought we were a little rusty. Some of those guys were a little rusty, maybe from the standpoint of making plays that they normally make, especially on the offensive end with some guys. I thought the thing that stood out to me defensively, I thought we were really porous to start the game. And then our defense picked up the last 6 or 7 minutes of the first half. I thought our offense was better to start the game. We just missed shots. And then the end of the first half, when our defense got better, I thought our offensive shot selection, our ball movement and player movement was poor. So we weren't quite synchronized at all, really, during the first half. And then second half, we made shots, 7 out of 14 threes, and I thought our defensive intensity and our ability to execute our defense was better. What hurt us more in the second half defensively than anything was second shot opportunities. They were able to get 7 of the 10 offensive rebounds that you see on the stat sheet were in the second half. Didn't think we blocked out very well. We'll take a look at it on film. But, good to get it under our belt. and play as many guys as we could tonight, and we're going to try to continue to do that. I think one of the strengths of this team is that we can come at you in numbers and with some depth.
Akron's next home game would be Friday, November 16th, as they would take on Chicago State for the first round of the Cayman Islands Classic Tournament.
The Zips then traveled about half an hour north to Cleveland to participate in the Northeast Ohio Coaches vs. Cancer doubleheader.
On Friday, November 16th, the men's basketball team returned home to begin their play in the Cayman Island Classic Tournament. Here with the game highlights is Rob Shaginer.
On Friday, November 16th, the University of Akron men's basketball team played host to the Chicago State Cougars in the first round of the Cayman Island Classic. Akron would be looking to go 3-0 on the season after coming out of the Northeast Ohio Coaches vs. Cancer Invitational with a win against out-of-conference opponent Youngstown State. The Zips would start the game with an aggressive mindset. Channel Banks would cut to the basket and lay it in, and quick ball movement would find Lauren Christian Jackson open in the corner for a three-pointer. Daniel Utomi would also score from range, and Jamond Ivey blows by his defender, only to be blocked at the rim, but he would recover, leaving him open for an easy lay-in. Daniel Utomi would score again from mid-range, and then would try again from deep, but would miss. However, Jamond Ivey would come down with the rebound and would find Dang Riak under the basket for another easy lay-in. Matching the offensive energy, Akron's Jaden Sales would reject Chicago State's Anthony Harris. This block would result in an Akron fast break, where Channel Banks would finish another layup, as well as drawing an and one, but he would not be able to convert on the free throw. Jaden Sales would then swat another layup, this one from Miles Oliver. This would fuel the Zips to push against the Cougars and send the game into the half with Akron leading 39-13. Akron would come out of the half with the mindset of ending the game early. Jamond Ivey, Daniel Utomi, Channel Banks, Scott Walter, and Lauren Christian Jackson would fuel the Zips offense by hitting 8 3-pointers on 16 attempts in the second half. This would drive the Zips to an 87-46 victory over the Cougars. Channel Banks and Daniel Utomi would lead both teams in scoring, with 17 points each in the win. Jaden Sales would post 4 blocks against the Cougars, and as a team, the Zips would force 20 Chicago State turnovers, aiding to their huge victory. After the Akron win, head coach John Gross would have this to say.
I thought our guys answered the challenge for sure that we gave them over the last couple days. I thought that we did some good things defensively and offensively, obviously, when you have that type of margin. But we made our fair share of mistakes. We had more turnovers than assists. I thought we were a little sloppy with the ball at times. We've got to clean that up. I thought our interior defense was poor. I thought we let the ball in way too easily into the post, late behind guys. I thought our schemes defensively in pick and rolls, post coverage and traps could be better. And so we've got a lot of room for improvement.
The Zips are on the road as they travel to the Cayman Islands to square off against the Clemson Tigers in the second round of the Cayman Islands Classic.
John, let's go ahead and take our final break of the show.
When we return, we'll have our thoughts on the men's basketball 2018-2019 season. Before we wrap up this episode, let's talk about last season of Akron men's basketball.
The Zips finished 14-18 on the season, going just 6-12 in the MAC. However, it was their first season under head coach John Gross after a 17-year tenure by former head coach Keith Dambront. Now, Gross did have some pretty big shoes to fill there.
Akron played very well at the James A. Rhodes Arena, going 12-4 on the year. However, on the road, they struggled, especially against MAC opponents.
Last year was a breakout year for forwards Jamond Ivey and Daniel Utomi. Both were the only consistent starters for Akron throughout the whole season.
They then advanced to the MAC tournament quarterfinals, where they faced off against Eastern Michigan. They would fall to the Eagles 67-58, thus ending their season.
Now, the Zips do look to build off the success that they had last year and do even better in John Gross's second season. And of course, we'll make sure to keep you guys updated on all the basketball action throughout the year.
Well, that's all the time we have. Make sure to follow us on social media to find out when we will be going live right here from the University of Akron coming up soon.
And as always, go Zips.
This program was produced by ZTV at the University of Akron. To find out how you can make Emmy-winning media, visit the UA School of Communication online. ZTV. Make media. Make a difference.